or your money back. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information, or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by Tom Weiss. Or Your Money Back by Gordon Randall Garrett. There are times when I don't know my own strength, or at least the strength of my advice. And the case of Jason Howley was certainly an instance of one of those times. When he came to my office with his gadget, I heard him out, trying to appear both interested and cooperative, which is good business. But I am forced to admit that neither Howley nor his gadget were very impressive. He was a lean, slope-shouldered individual, 5 feet 8 or 9, which was shorter than he looked, with straight brown hair combed straight back, and blue eyes which were shielded with steel-rimmed glasses. The thick, double concave lenses indicated a degree of myopia that must have bordered on total blindness without glasses, and acute tunnel vision even with them. He had a crisp, incisive manner that indicated he was either a man who knew what he was doing, or a man who was trying to impress me with a ready-made story. I listened to him, and looked at his gadget without giving any more indication than necessary of what I really thought. When he was through, I said, "You understand, Mr. Howley, that I'm not a patent lawyer. I specialize in criminal law. Now, I can recommend—" But he cut me off. "I understand that, counselor," he said sharply. "Believe me, I have no illusion whatever that this thing is patentable under the present patent system. Even if it were, this gadget is designed to do something that may or may not be illegal, which would make it hazardous to attempt to patent it, I should think. You don't patent new devices for blowing safes or new drugs for doping horses, do you?" "Probably not," I said dryly, "although, as I say, I'm not qualified to give an opinion on patent law. You say that gadget is designed to cause minute but significant changes in the velocities of small moving objects. Just how does that make it illegal?" He frowned a little. "Well, possibly it wouldn't, except here in Nevada. Specifically, it is designed to influence roulette and dice games." I looked at the gadget with a little more interest this time. There was nothing new in the idea of inventing a gadget to cheat the red and black wheels, of course. The local cops turn up a dozen a day here in the city. Most of them either don't work at all, or else they're too obvious, so the users get nabbed before they have a chance to use them. The only ones that really work have to be installed in the tables themselves, which means they're used to milk the suckers, not rob the management. And anyone in the state of Nevada who buys a license to operate and then uses crooked wheels is A, stupid, and B, out of business within a week. Howley was right. Only in a place where gambling is legalized is it illegal and unprofitable to rig a game. The gadget itself didn't look too complicated from the outside. It was a black plastic box about 1.5 inches square, and maybe 3.5 inches long. On one end was a lensed opening, 1/2 inch in diameter, and on two sides there were flat, silver-colored plates. On top of it, there was a dial which was, say, 1 inch in diameter, and it was marked off just exactly like a roulette wheel. "How does it work?" I asked. He picked it up in his hand, holding it as though it were a flashlight, with the lens pointed away from him. "You aim the lens at the wheel," he explained, "making sure that your thumb is touching the silver plate on one side, and your fingers touching the plate on the other side. Then you set this dial for whatever number you want to come up, and concentrate on it while the ball is spinning. For dice, of course, you only need to use the first 6 or 12 numbers on the dial, depending on the game." I looked at him for a long moment, trying to figure his angle. He looked back steadily, his eyes looking like small beads peering through the bottoms of a couple of shot glasses. "You look skeptical, counselor," he said at last. "I am. A man who hasn't got the ability to be healthily skeptical has no right to practice law, especially criminal law. On the other hand, no lawyer has any right to judge anything one way or the other without evidence. But that's neither here nor there at the moment. What I'm interested in is, what do you want me to do? People rarely come to a criminal lawyer unless they're in a jam. What sort of jam are you in at the moment? None, said Holly. But I will be very soon. I hope. Well, I've heard odder statements than that from my clients. I let it ride for the moment and looked down at the notes I'd taken while he told me his story. You're a native of New York City? I asked. That's right, that's what I said. And you came out here for what? To use that thing on our Nevada tables? That's right, counselor. Can't you find any games to cheat on back home? Oh, certainly, plenty of them. But they aren't legal. I wouldn't care to get mixed up in anything illegal. Besides, it wouldn't suit my purpose. That stopped me for a moment. You don't consider cheating illegal? It certainly is in Nevada. In New York, if you were caught at it, you'd have the big gambling interests on your neck. Here, you'll have both them and the police after you, and the district attorney's office. He smiled. Yes, I know. That's what I'm expecting. That's why I need a good lawyer to defend me. I understand you're the top man in this city. Mr. Holly, I said carefully, as a member of the Bar Association and a practicing attorney in the state of Nevada, I am an officer of the court. If you had been caught cheating and had come to me, I'd be able to help you. But I can't enter into a conspiracy with you to defraud legitimate businessmen, which is exactly what this would be. He blinked at me through those shot-glass spectacles. Counselor, would you refuse to defend a man if you thought he was guilty? I shook my head. No. Legally, a man is not guilty until proven so by a court of law. He has a right to a trial by jury. For me, to refuse to give a man the defense he's legally entitled to, just because I happen to think he was guilty, would be trial by attorney. I'll do the best I can for any client. I'll work for his interests, no matter what my private opinion may be. He looked impressed, so I guessed there must have been a note of conviction in my voice. There should have been, because it was exactly what I've always believed and practiced. That's good, counselor, said Holly. If I can convince you that I have no criminal intent, that I have no intention of defrauding anyone or conspiring with you to do anything illegal, will you help me? I didn't have to think that one over. I simply said, yes. After all, it was still up to me to decide whether he convinced me or not. If he didn't, I could still refuse the case on those grounds. That's fair enough, counselor, he said. Then he started talking. Instead of telling you what Jason Howley said he was going to do, I'll tell you what he did do. They are substantially the same, anyway, and the old bromide about actions speaking louder than words certainly applied in this case. Mind you, I didn't see or hear any of this, but there were plenty of witnesses to testify as to what went on. Their statements are a matter of court record, and Jason Howley's story is substantiated in every respect. He left my office smiling. He'd convinced me that the case was not only going to be worthwhile, but fun. I took it, plus a fat retainer. Howley went up to his hotel room, changed into his expensive evening clothes, and headed out to do the town. I'd suggested several places, but he wanted the biggest and best, the Golden Casino, a big, plush, expensive place that was just inside the city limits. In his pockets, he was carrying less than $200 in cash. Now, nobody with that kind of chicken feed can expect to last long at the Golden Casino, unless they stick to the two-bit, one-armed bandits. but putting